A Métis settlement in Alberta has lost dozens of homes and other property after a wildfire ripped through the East Prairie Métis Settlement. Hundreds were forced to evacuate last week. Dave Lamouche is the president of the Métis Settlement's General Council, and he joins us from Edmonton. Dave, thank you so much for joining us here today. First off, can you give us the latest on what the fire situation is there?
In East Prairie right now, the fire has died down. The fire has moved away from the community. It's under control in that area. And people are, there's still areas where the fire is smoldering, so they haven't been able to go back into the community yet. So there's no electricity in the community, so there's, a lot of the houses have been out of power since last Friday. So the meat is, I think they were taking meat out of the fridges and, starting to spoil and stuff. So.
Well, and Dave, what type of damage has the East Prairie Métis Settlement suffered from the fire?
The biggest damage is the loss of houses where the members or families were living. 29 of those homes burned, and 14 to 16 of those houses, people were living in them, or families were living in them. And I think some of them were vacated where people had moved to either the city or somewhere else for work and education. So they were sitting empty, and there was a few that were older houses, which, but altogether, like I said, I think 29 homes, and over 40 structures, including sheds and garages and barns and things like that they have lost as well.
Well, that's obviously very disappointing to hear that, but what can you tell us about the fire response? We've seen local firefighters battle the blaze, but some have criticized the provincial response.
I think that's the common theme everywhere in Alberta. I think the lack of support, and I think one of the things is sometimes it's setting the priorities of the resources that you have, where do you deploy the people. And in East Prairie's case, there was some help initially, and when the fire got a little larger, I think there was SRD and the local fire departments backed off. And I think in that case, some of the locals continued to fight fire on their own. There's some video that they had put out where they had their own cat running, and their own water truck they were using to put out the fires, making fire guards around the houses. So they did a bang-up job by saving a few more than what would have happened.
Well, finally here, Dave, what happens next? When can people head home, and what happens for those without homes to return to?
Well, that's the $64,000 question, right? It's where do they go now? That's the real question. Right now, they're staying in High Prairie in hotels. The people's homes that were saved once the power comes on, and there's about 15 kilometers of power line that is down. So to get that place powered up again, it's going to take some time. That's for people that still have their dwellings there. Now, the people that have no homes, where do they go? And I think that's where we need to work with the province of Alberta and other organizations to try and make a way or a place for them to go back to. These people lost everything. Some of the photos I sent to you guys and videos, you'll see just a devastation. And it's not just losing a house, it's losing your livelihood. It's losing, memorabilia. It's, hunting equipment, like quads and things that you have gathered over 20, 30 years, and just decimated. It's crazy. Very emotional stage for a lot of those people. So.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us and giving us an update on what's going on over there. We're certainly wishing you and everyone affected by the fire nothing but the best.
Thank you.
NDP MP for Edmonton Centre Blake Desjardins pressed the Prime Minister on Alberta's fire situation during question period today, as Indigenous Services Minister Patty Hajdu revealed that at least 150 structures have been lost and more than 4,000 people evacuated from Indigenous communities in that province.
They don't know when they'll go home or what they'll go home to. Métis settlements and First Nations communities are hit worst of all. The federal government has a responsibility to ensure that the safety of Indigenous evacuees and provide them with the basics like water, food, and shelter. What does this Prime Minister have to say to the thousands of Albertans who are, as we speak, without basic necessities right now?
My message to Albertans, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, is the same as our message to all Canadians who faced terrible extreme weather events over the past years. We will be there for them. We will continue to work with the provincial government. I spoke to Premier Smith just on Monday to assure that we were going to be there with CAF supports, with resources, with whatever was needed.